about Korea, what? And that's my whole life. What? Pyongyang, what? And where? Joe, what? So, Geronimo was talking about earlier, I just wanted to touch on before I talk about Fuji. Growing up, the children of revolutionaries, it is a very different way to grow up, but we did think it was normal. As adults, we know now it was not. And it wasn't until I became a mother here in Atlanta. I was at school with my son, and I had recently met this woman, and she had heard somehow that I was married to Geronimo, and there was another woman there, and we sat down and I just met her. And she said, "This is Joju Cleaver. This is Eldridge Cleaver's daughter, and she's married to Geronimo, and that's his son." And I was like, you just put all my information out there. And I had a very visceral reaction to that, because what I learned as an adult is that the children of revolutionaries are never safe. And that's just a fact. And so what Geronimo represents to me is safety. He made me feel very safe. And, excuse me. I met him when I was 27 years old. And about a week ago, I just celebrated my 41st birthday. So, it's been part of my life. When I met him, I had a very immediate connection to him, and I just knew when I met him, I had met my husband. And I wrote a poem about it, and I gave it to him, which I found, after I found out he passed, I had to go to Morgan City, and I went to the house that we used to share, and I went to his office, and I found the poem out, and it just touched me. So I just wanted to share it with you, because for so many people, you know, when we were first together, people were like, "Who's that young chick?" And then people who knew my family were like, "What is he doing with Elvis baby?" And so, you know, it was a lot of stuff, but, you know, he will always be the love of my life. And I'm very thankful and grateful for the time that we did have. So I wrote him this poem. It's called For Geronimo. The day they let you go, I took a deep breath and cried. My heart swelled and I began to remember. Going backwards in time, traversing my 27 years, you were always there. A man I never met, woven into me, a part of me. Your image a photograph, your name alive. Riding our breath past our lips, Geronimo, spoken from our souls, conjured, your spirit moved freely, curling slowly like smoke between walls. You lingered in every room, in every house. Mommy said you were handsome. Daddy called you a hero, and he was my hero. They said you were revolutionary, and you became my hero too. My 11th year was your 11th year. In the blink of an eye, my foundation split. Flesh torn, family cracked, home broken. Inevitably, I lost my bearings. Moving east without my father, reeling back for years, I fell through time like branches on a tree. Desperately needing to hold on to something, afraid to reach out, not knowing if I was up or down or if what I had was going to stay. My hero was lost and he was my rock, but I was raised to survive, to adapt, and I did. Loosening the strings to what I held close, nothing and no one could reach me to leave me. Swirling in confusion, darkness closing in, the abyss became my comfort. Deep within my own imbalance, off-kilter yearnings bled in silence. My spirit hobbled through each year, consumed by my own mystery. I couldn't see that you were still there, the hero I never met. My 27th year was your 27th year, the year they let you go. 27 years spent for a crime you did not commit. Bathed in sunlight, your freedom celebrated on the cover of the Los Angeles Times. There you were, wonderful dragon, my hero. I knew I'd see you soon. The last time you were near me, I was in my mother's belly. Today I stand before you, a woman. A lifetime has past, and laying eyes on you finally breaks my fall. Embraced by your love, I sense your strength and remember my own. False notions crumble before the truth of the fire. And what has been is now seen. Recognizing my own nature, I realize I found something I did not know was missing. Born in flames, I return to my source in your arms. Blessed with fire, I know who I am. So I wrote that for you. The video that we just saw, well, Kaya and I, we just returned from Tanzania about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And we went there for a celebration for Geronimo. And this, as soon as the word was out that he had passed, these young artists who you see in the video, who are actually very popular in East Africa, they're some of the biggest rap stars. They had met him through UAACC, which is the organization that Pete, Charlotte O'Neill run in Arusha, Tanzania, actually in Mbisani village. The video was shot at the community center at UAACC, and it's very emotional for me because it's where we were as a family, and it's where Kayode was born, and it's and these people, as soon as they heard about Geronimo's passing, they immediately came back to UAACC to show their respect from all over, some of them from Kenya, and they wanted to do something, and so in about a week they put that together. And it's playing on the radio, and it's playing on the video music stations in East Africa. So it's a wonderful tribute that also shows the inspiration that G represented to the youth of Africa as well. And those young children with the berets, they're called the leaders of tomorrow, and they are all orphans that Pete and Charlotte, and mainly Pete, he runs the orphanage, and you always see him followed around by all these little children, and they keep him young. But Geronimo knew all of them, and whenever they'd see him coming, you'd always hear, Jaga! Jaga! All over Arusha. When we'd ride around with him, people would just yell out. I guess it's the same in Morgan City, but they say G, you know, or Gerard, maybe. But the work that we did with Kuji, I worked, when I first started working with Geronimo, he had just come back from the trips to Haiti and Ghana and Tanzania, and he was telling me about them and telling about all of the wonderful work that was being done in Tanzania specifically. But how hard it was for Pete and Charlotte to do what they needed to do because they didn't have proper running water. Some days it was there and some days it wasn't. And if you understand the connection to access to clean water, you know, anywhere, but in developing countries, if you don't have access to water, then, for instance, teachers don't want to come to that village to be teachers if they don't have water. And so it's a ripple effect if you just don't have access to water. And so that was our first project with the Kuji Foundation in East Africa. And my role was to develop and research how we could help and raise money for it. And the thing about Kuji was all of our projects had to cost $10,000 or less because we wanted to show that you didn't need millions of dollars to affect change in the community. You just needed the right spirit, some money, and Geronimo didn't even believe in proper training, which I learned, you know, because I said, well, he'd say, we need a website. I don't make websites, we need a website. So I had to learn how to make websites, and so I made the first Kuji website. And you just never knew where you would end up. Working with Geronimo, going to Ghana, I did research on a project to see, we didn't want to come to people and say, this is what we believe you need. We would go do research and see, what do you need in this community? And then do our research, what can we do? And they were going to have to keep it going after we left. So it was about Kuji Chagalia, Kuji. So in Ghana we did a cassava processing project. And we arranged for trainers to come and train cassava farmers on using this equipment to process the cassava, because a lot of their product was rotting, they were losing money. And we realized that cassava is a very big crop in West Africa. And that is still running now. The people, and we gave them the equipment, and now they own it. And so now they are entrepreneurs, women, primarily women in Ghana, who they just couldn't believe we were just going to go and leave the equipment and leave. Because a lot of times, you know, religious organizations may come in and they want something more, you know, other than to just give you some assistance, give you some training, and let you do it on your own. And that's how Coochie operated. Everybody just came in, you did what you had to do, what needed to be done, and Geronimo never wanted to hear about, I can't, I don't know how. You were going to have to find out, or you get checked. And you also had to run all the time. I was in the best shape of my life when I worked with Geronimo at Coochie. You know, you had to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning and run 2, 3, 4, 5 miles. Just had to. Don't think you were going to wake up and have breakfast, but he just look at you. You really going to eat that? You know. The work that Coochie had done with Pete and Charlotte in Tanzania continues to this day. And the water project, there's a spigot outside of UAACC. That project was started with $10,000. And Pete O'Neill had contacted the engineers. They came and found a good spot to dig where there was most likely water. And the drill came from, I believe it was South Africa. It was a lot of logistics that we had to figure out. And we had to wait 5 days, 6 days for the drill to come, and we were all very excited. And when the drill got there, they started to drill in Arusha, Tanzania is in the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro, and it's volcanic rock. And these very expensive drills, you know, we had enough money for this one drill. And that drill blew out. And we said, what are we going to do? You know, that drill cost more than our project. And, but in the time, the drilling, I think it was maybe the second day, maybe the third day when it blew out. By that time, G was there talking to the drillers. We were all there, and they caught the spirit. And they caught the spirit of what we were trying to do. And they realized that we didn't want anything other than to find water and to give water to that community. And they said, don't worry, we'll get you another drill. And we don't know how they did it, but they got us another drill. We were not charged for it. And we just couldn't believe it. And the project was done, and it was done out of the spirit of love. And that water is still here today. And when we had a ceremony to open the spigot, elders came from villages all around because they had heard there was water. And I didn't know at the time why there were these old men coming with canes and their family members where I didn't understand what they were coming for at first. And they really just wanted to see and to say thank you. And they had come from very far to do that. And in the same area, there was a Seventh-day Adventist church who had been there for years, and they had spent $9 million, and they still hadn't found water. So you see, our project was $10,000. We started in April, and by June we had water. And that's what it was like working at Coochie. Things happened very quickly. It was always a community effort, and there was always a lot of love and a lot of hard work. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful place to be, and it was a wonderful time. And I will close by just saying it was really important to Geronimo that for our community to know our own power, and that when you reach out, there will be a hand there to meet you. And And he saw that time and time and time again with our projects with Kuchi, because we never had a lot of money. We had a lot of spirit, and we had a lot of love, and we did a lot of hard work. And these things are still, people are still reaping the benefits today. And what Pete and Charlotte are doing at UAACC in Tanzania are going to affect generations of Tanzanians. It's really beautiful. And if you go to their website, I think if you Google UAACC, you can find a lot of information. You can make a donation. Right now, those children that you saw, the leaders of tomorrow, Pete, who everyone calls Mzee, which is a name for your elders, he talks to them about the ocean, and none of them have ever seen the ocean. Never. And so it is his dream right now to raise enough money to take those children 8 hours away to Dar es Salaam to see the ocean. And the last project that Geronimo was working on was to raise money for a shuttle. And I know they got one, and they're raising money for a second one. And simultaneously, Charlotte was here in the state, Charlotte O'Neill, Mzee's wife, raising money for a school bus for those children to get around Arusha. And she made just enough to do that. And so with that bus, which they're painting Panther Blue, it's probably done. They were doing that when we were there. And everything has a panther on it at UACC. You walk around the campus there, and it's the compound, and you see Malcolm, you see Martin is even there, you have Cuban revolutionaries. It's just a wonderful place to be. If you ever get a chance to go and to support the work that they're doing, it will change your life. And those brothers in the video right there, they were there when I was there. And I mean, every day they were making music, they were painting a wall, doing a mural, there was a class going on. It's just wonderful. And it was a place that made Geronimo very, very happy. And I also got to meet his new son. He has a new boy named Tecumseh. And he's got a fiery spirit just like his daddy. And a funny little receding hairline. So, just the other day I was looking at pictures to send Watani, and I found a recording that Geronimo had sent to Kayode by the email. It was a quote that meant a lot to him. And he said it was a favorite quote of Johnny Cochran and himself. And I just wanted to close with that. It's by James Russell Lowell. Careless seems the great avenger. History's pages but record one death grapple in the darkness twixt old systems and the word. Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yet that scaffold sways the future, and behind the dim unknown standeth God with the shadow, keeping watch above his own.